there. Welcome back to another edition of Washington's unfiltered show, The Beat. I am your host, Chip Brierre, and the Washington football team gets ready to return home and host the Cincinnati Bengals. For that, we bring in this week's panel. We have Scott Jackson, host of the Washington football team official post-game show. You can follow him on social media at Jackson Sports. We have Donna Hopkins, co-host and reporter of the Tony McGee Pro Football Plus show. You can see her at Donna Hopkins _. And then to round us off, another former Washington football team player, Lorenzo Alexander of NBC Sports Washington's pre and post-game show. His handle at OneManGang97. Panel, let's just dive right in here because it's the matchup of the first overall pick and the second overall pick in 2020's NFL draft. That was the first major sporting event we had in the COVID-19 pandemic, and we knew right away Chase Young was going burgundy and gold. Joe Burrow was going to the Bengals, the orange and black. So when we look at these two guys, let's start with Joe Burrow. What do we make of his performance so far? 2-6-1 with the Cincinnati Bengals in his rookie year. Lorenzo, he's been under pressure a lot too.
Yeah, he's taking a lot of hits, big time hits too. Unlike you see some guys like Kyler Murray who runs around a lot, but finds a way to get down by sliding, or like a Russell Wilson. But it's been very encouraging and surprising the way he's battled through all that. Obviously, he got drafted #1 overall, not going to a great team. But he's looked promising, competing, putting his team in places to have a chance to win at the end of games. I think people are happy with him, and they're going to really be interested in how he continues to develop going into next season.
This is a guy that has great arm strength, and like Lorenzo said, the offensive line is so beat up, so he's had to do a lot of things with his feet, the new generation of quarterbacks. But I think when you look at his production so far, 300 plus yards in most of his games until he faced the Pittsburgh Steelers, which welcomed him home real good. But other than that game, he has really stepped up and is starting to feel himself and that team. I mean, they're a terrible team overall, but I think that he has done a great job.
Scott, I want to get your thoughts first, then go to Lorenzo, because Chase Young at #2 has had a great year so far. Statistically, he's playing really well on the same kind of pace, sack numbers wise, as Nick Bosa of the past couple of years coming out of Ohio State. The hometown guys really played well, but he's been quiet. And of course, we saw him at the end of that Lions game get that roughing the passer penalty that essentially set up the game-winning field goal from Matt Prater 59 yards away. Do you feel Chase Young's progression is where you'd like to see it?
Yeah, I know his mom gave a C+ a few weeks ago. And family tends to be tougher on you. I'd grade him higher. Look, I get it. He made a mistake last week. He owned up to it. To his credit, he wanted to come out and face the music, so to speak, and talk to everybody about it. He's just drawing attention. I mean, you can see it every week. You can say, well, the sack numbers aren't there or whatever, but every other team, every team this Red Washington team faces knows that he's the guy. Like he's seeing double teams, sometimes triple teams. We saw that a few weeks ago. So he is certainly making an impact. He's a guy you game plan for. So yeah, I think Chase Young has lived up to it. And yeah, he's running some bumps. He's also dealt with some injuries. So I think he's dealt with some of the rookie stuff, but he's certainly a guy that is a bit as good as advertised, I believe, at this point.
And a big step for the rookie. He said after the game, he took it upon himself to tell Ron Rivera he wanted to talk to the media, and when asked why he wanted to do that, because it's a rookie mistake, it happens, you just got to move forward with it. So Lorenzo, Chase Young has a chance to get after Joe Burrow, who has been sacked 32 times. That's second most in the NFL behind Carson Wentz, and the Washington football team's 28 sacks is fifth most in the NFL. How does Jack Del Rio dial up the game plan to get Chase Young eating in the trenches?
Well, it's really going to have to be a complimentary football game. And so I think as you look at it overall, this team can't get behind early, because then you can just start handing the ball off. And if you look at the last couple of games, when you're playing from behind, a team can just hand the ball off, play action. You can never really pin your ears back. So I say this, the offense has to help Chase Young and Jack Del Rio to be able to get after the passer in the game. And they have to score when they get down in the red zone and play that complimentary style football. And once that happens, when you're playing a young quarterback, and Joe Burrow's seen a lot, he's played the Steelers, and so he's seen a lot of different defenses. You have to pressure him. You have to disguise on the back end, be able to move around. But the issue is that since this Washington secondary has kind of been beat up, are you willing to do some of those things? The guy's ready to be able to implement a game plan like that. And when you can do little things like that, make him hesitate and hold the ball because he has done a great job of getting it out, then you give the D-line an opportunity to eat and get to him, hitting, pressure, and to get him down on the ground.
So real quick, before we move on, 1 or 2 in these picks. Yes or no answer. Do you keep it at Joe Burrow 1, Chase Young 2? If you had to do it all over again, we'll go Lorenzo, Donna, and then Scott. Just a yes or no.
No.
Scott?
Yeah, I think Justin Herbert has something to say about this, doesn't he?
It's just no.
Exactly.
It's just a no
and coming
answer.
in at number 6 and Tua Tagovailoa, right? We move forward. Alex Smith had a career day for the Washington football team against the Detroit Lions. Now he goes into this Bengals game with the defense on the other side, knowing full well that they can sling the football in volume. Donna, is that going to be a problem for Alex Smith, who put together back-to-back 300-yard passing games in the first time of his career?
I'm telling you, Chip, his arm should be hurting right now for as many times as he passed the ball in that previous game. But I think that Alex is really settling in now. He's got a game under his belt now. And I think that he complements that offense so much more now. We know that his movement side to side is not as fast as it was before, but he can read defense and get rid of the ball. And the offensive line has played a little better. But how goes Alex Smith goes that running game? They really have to get the running game complemented with him as a passer, because he's starting to connect with a lot of his receivers. That was good to see. But I just think that Alex Smith is the key to that offense and them getting the running game going.
Well, I hope he doesn't have to throw 55 times, because that'll mean they're not behind by a bunch of scores as it was last week. And I don't think that's a good formula for anybody in the NFL, quite frankly. I mean, even Pat Mahomes isn't throwing it 55 times. He did a great job to protect the ball last week. And you mentioned, the 2 Sims and obviously McLaurin, but hey, don't forget, he got it to Isaiah Wright. Logan Thomas had some looks. He's spreading the wealth. I mean, everybody, of course, McKissick gets a lot of targets. So everybody's active in this passing game, and that's great. But yeah, you'd like to see the running game so they could set up some deeper shots and some play action, but they haven't really had the running game since the Cowboys game, and that's been several games now. So they got to figure a way to get back to, pushing teams around and running the football effectively.
Complementary football is the term we're all kind of paraphrasing right now. Yep. But another thing that this Washington football team has struggled with, playing a full 60 minutes. As Ron Rivera said after the loss, we are learning to win, and now we are learning to finish, which you would think goes hand in hand, but it was apparent. They go on a 17-play, 66-yard, 2-minute and 21-second drive, only to end at a field goal, and then the penalty to set up the Matt Prater field goal. So, Lorenzo, you hear that from Ron Rivera. You see how this team has been in the fight 3 of the last 4 games, 3 points or less. Do you feel that they can finish this game against the Bengals if it comes to crunch time?
Well, if you're learning in the process, and that's what Ron is talking about, learning when you lose or win. But the biggest thing for them is having faster starts. I mean, when you go into halftime down by 2 scores, it's hard to battle back. And some of that, them battling back, is probably teams mentally kind of checking out a little bit because they have a big score. So they have to start fast and be in striking distance and not have to use all that energy just to fight their way back into games. And I would say number 2 is the turnovers, right? Alex Smith had 3 turnovers 2 weeks prior. McLaurin had 1 turnover last week. And those are the differences, because that turnover last week led to a field goal. And so, yes, it's about learning how to win and finish games, but it's also not beating yourself with some of those mistakes, because they are able to move the ball up and down the field, but either a penalty, a turnover, a lot of times derails their drive from putting a field goal on, even though you like touchdowns. And so those are the little things they need to learn how to correct throughout the game, especially in the first half, so you don't have to spend all that energy battling back, and then you almost kind of mentally drained just getting yourself back into the game.
Coach said on Thursday he's an optimist and the record is what it is, but they aren't what it reflects. And maybe the team needs to hear that. But right now we got to take a break. When we come back, we continue the conversation on Sunday's game between the Bengals and your Washington football team, taking some over-unders on stats and players. Keep it locked. You're watching The Beat.
We all know things are different. Keeping you safe is not. At Innova, we ensure the safety of everyone who comes to us with safe locations, safe supplies, safe cleaning, and safe practices. You're safe at Innova. Get the facts at innova.org/safety.
At Honda, we take the holidays seriously. With serious style and serious capability. So while others may be decking the halls, you could be dashing through the snow with the best value of the season. Now's the best time to get into a new Honda. KBB.com's best value brand for 2020. Visit Happy Honda Days at your local Honda dealer or shop online to get a great offer on the CR-V.
Free healthcare. Hundreds to more than $1,000 per month in disability compensation and tens of thousands for college tuition. These are just some of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs benefits that may be available to veterans. VA is focused on customer service like never before. Choose VA and see why veterans' trust in VA reached an all-time high. Claim the benefits you've earned at choose.va.gov.
DC has a home for the greatest hits of all time.
That would be Michael Jackson for me.
DC's greatest hits.
Madonna.
Billy Idol. Live here.
Cyndi Lauper.
Bon Jovi.
94.7.
Blondie.
The Eagles.
The Drive.
Welcome back to The Beat. I am your host, Chip Brierre, and our panel is still here with us. Got Scott Jackson, Donna Hopkins, and Lorenzo Alexander. So we're taking some over-unders in this game between the Bengals and the Washington football team. We begin with Antonio Gibson. We mentioned the running game has really been struggling for the Burgundy and Gold. So, Donna, 90.5 rushing yards in this game. Are you going over or are you going under?
Well, if he doesn't get the ball enough to produce those numbers, then that's the problem right there. They just don't run the ball. I mean, when he gets the ball, he makes things happen. He's starting to get more comfortable with the offense. So I'm saying that put it in his hands. They're using him more so as a receiver out of the backfield, which is nothing wrong with that, but they've got to get him in the ball game, running the ball, because it makes him so much better. So give him the ball and maybe he can produce a little bit more.
On the other running back, J.D. McKissic, 7.5 targets in the passing game. He's had a little bit of chemistry with Alex Smith. Scott Jackson, you going over or under?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go over. I think that's the one thing you can certainly bank on with this offense, is short passing, because that's really replaced the running game at this point over these last few weeks to McKissic. And if they get it out to him in some space, he can really make some things happen. So, yeah, I'll go over this week with that one.
All right, now we go to Joe Burrow. The pass attempts at 35.5. Lorenzo, he's going to be under pressure, as we alluded to. The sacks for Washington football team, 5th in the NFL. Joe Burrow's been knocked down 32 times. Do you like the over or the under?
I'm going to go the over because I think they're going to have to put up points in order to win this game. And they've been putting the game in Joe Burrow's hands all year. They don't really have a great running game either. Their offensive line is kind of beat up as far as when it comes to running the ball. So I definitely see them going over on that 35.5.
Scott, I'm going to come back to you on this one. For Alex Smith, over or under 300.5 passing yards for his 3rd straight 300-yard game? Over or under?
You can beat Cincinnati in a variety of ways. You can run on him or you can pass on him. I'll say he'll probably be slightly over. I don't think he'll be as high as he was last week in terms of passing yardage, but I think slightly over that 300.5 for Alex Smith.
Fair enough. Now let's move on to Chase Young, who we've also talked a lot about. I don't know why we have it at 0.5. I feel it should be at 1 full sack, so I'm going to give it 1 full sack, despite what the rundown tells me. Lorenzo, we're going to go around the horn here. Over under 1 sack for Chase Young on Joey Burrow.
I had it easy at half. I was definitely going over. I'm gonna go over on this one too. Even though he'll get some double teams and stuff, they really love to go empty and scat protection and not do a lot of double teaming. They may chip him a little bit, but I think Chase Young will get his opportunities because his offense is going to keep it close and just because of his pure talent.
I'm going to go over by at least 1 because I think that he's going to be hyped up. And I just think that offensive line, like Lorenzo said, is so beat up.
Yeah, I like the over because, look, I saw them single TJ Watt a lot last week in the Pittsburgh game. I'm with Lorenzo. It seems like they're not afraid to go empty and just they're not really game planning all the time.
So that is over-unders on the game. Now it's time for predictions. Scott, you ended that last segment. Now let's get it started with your prediction of the score and who gets the win.
I'm going to go Washington gets off this slide that the skid they've been on. I think they're going to get a W at home. I'm going to go 27-21 Washington over Cincinnati.
All right. We like that score line. Donna?
You know, I was wavering back forward as far as this one goes, but I'm going to give it to the Burgundy and Gold 20-13.
Lorenzo, are you going to give it a clean sweep?
Of course, got to go with the home team. I'm going to go 27-24. They find a way to win in the end.
If this result stands, Washington would be 3-7, and they would be in the hunt for the NFC East Division title. That's right. Number 1, baby. We're going for the number 1 seed, and this panel's been number 1 this week. Scott Jackson, host of Washington football team's official post-game show. Donna Hopkins, co-host and reporter of the Tony McGee Pro Football Plus show. And Lorenzo Alexander, Washington football alum and part of NBC Sports Washington's pre- and post-game show. I'm your host, Chip Brierre. Thank you to our panel for being with us, and thank you for making us a part of your weekend. Enjoy the game on Sunday, and we will see you next time around.
It's 2020. Let's make a splash. Play the DC Lottery's Roaring Cash.
FanDuel's simple, intuitive app makes it easy to get closer to the game. But to get Dan even closer, we've arranged for him to experience a genuine James Harrison tackle.
Wait, what? Tackle? Can we not do the tackle?
If he doesn't tackle you, he doesn't get paid.
Doesn't get paid? Oh, okay!
FanDuel. Join today and play free all season long.
At Inova, COVID-19 testing of all patients having a procedure or surgery, continuous training of our team members, and thorough cleaning of our facilities are just some of the many ways we work to keep you safe. You're safe at Inova.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I know it's your day off, but the meeting deadline got moved up, and I know you...
What are you doing?
Look at your Sentra. It's got everything you want, and you can cut loose in it. Oh, and it's got all these fancy features, so I know it will help you stay safe. This is what I taught you. Never settle.
Thoughts?
Hey, I prepped Joe, and he's good to go.
Refuse to compromise. The radically redesigned all-new Nissan Sentra. Get a low $199 per month lease on Sentra, or get 0% financing for up to 84 months on 14 models.
It's all-wheel drive season, and your local Honda dealers are bringing the best deals of the year. It's clearance pricing during the Happy Honda Days sales event. Dash through the snow to a rugged and adventurous Honda. Check out the entire all-wheel drive truck and SUV lineup. CR-V, HR-V, Ridgeline, Pilot, and Passport, with features like Honda Sensing, Magic Folding Seats, and 3 different driving modes. Clearance pricing is here, but it won't last long. Don't miss clearance pricing at the Happy Honda Days sales event, now at your local Honda dealer.